Alright, so this is how to actually update a patient's vital signs and maybe add case history. So I'm going to log in as a nurse. Alright, so you'll be logging in with your user account if you have the access, and you just click on sign in. The page is going to load with your hospital. As usual, you see everything from your dashboard, from the patients, a number of appointments, prescription, and so on. So to be able to add a case, first off, we'll do the vital signs. To be able to actually add vital signs to a patient, you just come to your right hand side, click on patient list. You see all the patients that you need to work on. If you're looking for the patient, the easiest thing you can do is type the name of the patient here on the right hand side. Here, search Stacy. If you're looking for, let's say, something Jeff, then that if you're not, you can easily find the patient's name on your list. If it's not on the first page, you can just come and click next if there's extra pages here. But in this case, in this scenario, we're just going to be updating the first patient here, which is John. To easily update the user's information is easy as just edit here, and if you want to just have an overview of the patient, is here. But what we're trying to do today is update the person's vital signs. We're assuming that the person just walked in, and after putting in all the person's information, we want to update the patient's vital signs, and that's easy as just going to medical history. So medical history, we just click in and open a fresh new page dedicated to just the patient. In this view, I'm just going to give you an overview of what you see. You'll be able to see everything about the patient, the same info that we had on the previous screen when you clicked on info. This is now on your right hand side, where you'll be able to have a bird's eye view of the patient's information. This is very vital when a doctor or even a nurse or someone doing examination on that patient be able to see what is going on. And to be able to add vital signs, click on that, and from there you'll be able to put, let's just say, the measurement 189 after doing the blood test. So you'll be able to put this the diastolic and the systolic measurement. I'm sorry if I'm not mentioning it right. So it's there. Then let's just say that measurement is 88. The heart rate, we just put some that. The temperature, we just put 37. Make sure it's all right. The oxygen, we just that. So depending on the user's measurement and the user's weight, let's say that is 76. The height, remember, it's in centimeters. So let's just assume is any number. Let's say 1, 2, 3, and basically that's it. So none of this is compulsory. So you can end up not putting the height. You can end up putting the respiratory rate, whatever information that you want in that case. So it's not. Nothing here is required. So whatever information that you have at that moment of the patient, you can just put that up. So I'll just click on submit once I'm done, and that fills in the first page. So once you put that information, a doctor is able to see it, or whoever is doing the examination is able to see, okay, so on the 23rd of June at this time at 15:20, that's 3:28 p.m. this measurement was taken, right? If the patient comes again and does another view, you can still put that thing on the, let's just say, in that case it was 190, and the diastolic was, let's say, 89, all right? Same thing as the heart rate, same thing as the temperature. That day was 35. If you don't take all these, you don't have to. So if you want to just put weight, the weight is now 75. Like I said, so nothing is required and it is empty. That if you make a mistake, you can easily just click on edit and you'll be able to put that back in there. So this is an overview of how the vital signs, of how to add a vital signs and how to edit a vital signs. You can even go ahead and delete a vital sign once you feel it's not needed. So you'll be able to see the notification on that right hand side. Now this view is great because if you know, if you want to work on the next patient and you know the patient's ID, I'll show you how to get the patient's ID in another video. If you know the patient's ID, or you just want to be able to just navigate, you don't necessarily have to go back to patient list. You can just come here and say, okay, let me talk to Jeff, right? Or okay, Jeff, next patient, and click on Jeff, and this opens Jeff's Jeff's medical history. You don't necessarily have to come back here and start looking for the patient. You can easily just do that from that page once you're there. You can look for, let's just say, Stacy. We looked for Stacy earlier on. Yeah, so there it is, and that. So if it's either through the ID or through the person's name, so this is a very good tool to use, a good tool to actually work with. So I advise everyone to use that. Let's go back to the patient we're working on. The patient we're working on was John. So they bring you all the Johns available, and you just click on that to give you a good idea of what's going on. The case history. Now, after you finish adding the vital signs, we go to case history. Case history is very dynamic. It really depends on what you want to add here. So this is a great place to add examination reports for the patient, and it's very open, so it really depends on what you really want to put here. So let's just say, let's pick today's date, 23rd June, and we will say this is a pre-assessment, depending on examination. It really depends on what you're bringing on here. And now take note of how many characters. Minimum 5 characters for the title of the case. And when it comes to the description, same thing, minimum 5 characters. So let's just say patient described, let's say described headache, any information that you feel is vital to the case. It can even be examination reports. It can be anything that would be good for the test. So we just click on submit, and once it's added, it resets and back to the vital signs, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong. You just click on that, and it brings you back here. So you'll be able to see if you made a mistake. You can just click on edit, and you can add more info. So let's do a test here. So let's do a test here, and what we'll just do that, we'll just add any more information. I'll just duplicate that so it feels more. And you'll be able to write as much as you want. If you want, this tool is really great. If you want something highlighted, you can just say, okay, that's it. If you want something very, very noted, you can do it so that whoever is looking at it next would be able to say, okay, this is what the previous person was working with. There's so much you can put here. You can even put a table here. Let's make a small table here, and now I understand some of these tables might come out quite big. There will be templates that you can just easily copy and work with. All right. So if you ever feel the table is cumbersome, you can just copy from that template, which will be in another video of how to do that. You can even do more in terms of highlighting with different colors. You can do the paragraph depending on, let's say, that you can, yeah. So that changes the paragraph. You can, there's so much with this text editor that you can do. This helps whoever is looking at the case next. So once it's updated, you can just come to case history and you'll be able to look at what has been done there. All right, and if there's a more case, you can just click on that and say, okay, let's just say, let's say eye examination or surgery report, whichever one. Once you put the date and say, okay, this is the second time the patient is coming here. Let's put some more green. That sounds better. And you submit. Once it's updated, we just reload the page back to where the patient is. You just click on history, and the new entry is right below. So it really depends on that. So once a doctor also opens the page, they're able to see their vital signs, they're able to see the user's case history, and from there they are able to work. The other tabs, which something like prescription. For a nurse, you don't have access, but for a doctor is able to actually add a prescription thing. If there's anything like medical tests, laboratory tests, or any reports, they show up here. If the nurse wants to add a document, which will be described in another video, this is where to also add that. If there are any appointments also for this patient, is also added here. The full timeline of everything about the patient is also here, which will also be described in another video. Thank you.